Hi, my name is Ade. I'll be walking you through the Government Goods Incorporated sales analysis. And today we'll be looking at overview of the data source used for the analysis, walk through the dashboard, talk about key insights and observations, and provide some additional information. So let's get started. So in terms of the data source, we're provided with already established data source for government incorporated. This data was between 2014 to 2017. In order to do the analysis first, we need to understand what are the key variables within that data. So, of course, we have the order ID, which is unique identifier for each order that was made to Government Goods Incorporated. We have the order dates. They was ordered for, then the delivery date, and we have shipping types. So how was the goods delivered to the customers? So either through air, railroad, and so on and so forth. The customer ID for each customer, they each have a unique ID in the system as well as their name. And so we also look at the different segments of clients, basically the client type. It could be a retail client, it could be a wholesale, online, or direct um, transaction client. We also have the country. However, this was all transactions were in the US. Then now we can differentiate based on the cities where these orders were shipped to. Postcode geographical area also cover the locations. We have product ID, product group, product subgroup, looking at how we identify each product as well as groups grouping them into different segments. So we have apparels, food, beverage, home goods, and so on and so forth. Then we look at the sales amount in dollars, the quantity, the discount, and the profit from the sales. So these are the major variables that we have in the data source. Looking at the data source here, we see that first we want to look at, is the data accurate, is the data complete, and yeah, so those are, and if we have, is the data complete, is the data accurate, and yeah, so those are major things that I was looking for. Right now it looks like all the data is complete, because I usually, what I do is check each of the columns and see what might be the blanks. So since there are no blanks in this, that means we have all the fields in this column completed. So that is a good thing. In terms of the accuracy of the data, we'll just trust the data that has been provided to us and then work with it. This, however, is a already tabled data. This is the raw data, how it came in the original file. I duplicated the data and converted it a into a table. I can show you the process again, which is coming down here to this place. What I did was just to insert a table, and yes, you indicate my table has headers, because those will describe each of the columns, and then you can click OK, and then there you have it. So that's just how I got this my table data. So back to the presentation. Now, in terms of the key metrics that we're looking for, uh, in terms of the sales for the store, first we started with what is the total sales. the total value of sales made at the store from 2014 to 2017. It was important to look at it, in dollar amounts. So that is for total sales. Then total profit is now aggregated profit made on all the sales at the store from 2014 to 2017. And total profit is different from sales. Sales is the amount that you get in terms of the sale of that product. So for example, I would say pencil, I sell it for $10. $10 is my sale dollar amount. However, in terms of profit, if I had initially purchased that pencil for say 5,000, no, sorry, $5, and then I sell it for $10, right? The profit would be the sale amount minus the cost, which is equals to $5. So in this case, the total profit um would be $5, right? There are cases where the cost of purchase, the cost of goods sold is higher than the sale amount, and that can cause us to have a negative profit value. So that in terms of like the data, if you come here, you see negative values, that is correct. And that's also something in terms of looking at the accuracy of the data and ensuring that okay, everything makes sense. But if we are seeing that in sale, then that would not align, because in sale you won't have a negative value. So those are some of the key things that we look out for in terms of like the data itself. Total quantity sold for each product, how many, for example, how many pencils were sold on each day or for this particular transaction, and so on and so forth. The next metric was average sales across states. Average sale across states looks at for each state, right? What is the average sale that is made in terms of the dollar amount? So that will be able to help us understand where we are seeing high sales versus where we are seeing low sales. Top states by sales. So it also correlates with average sales across states. So that would help us to see what are the top states and then put that into consideration. Sales segmentation by client type. Like we said earlier, the client type, we have the retail, wholesale, online, and direct. So it will be good for us to segment our total sales by the client type, see where we are having or we are seeing more sales if there is, and if there is not, then maybe we have a good distribution of sales across all those client type segments. Month over month change in profit. This helps us to see the percentage change in profit from the previous month to current month. So for example, if we have a total profit of $10 in January 2025, right, and we have profit of $20, and in February we have another $20 profit based on the sales, that means our month on month change is 0%. So however, if we were to have say from $20 in $20 in January to $40 in February, that would be about a 100% change in profit. So, and there's also bound to be a negative change, right? If it was 40 in January and it goes profit in February is now $20, then definitely there's a negative downward trend. Then final metric is the product category breakdown. So we are breaking down the sales and profits segmented by the product group and product subgroup. Going back here, we see that we have the categories for product group as electronics, apparel, food and beverage, home goods, and also subcategories like groceries, bedding, men's. There are a lot more subgroups, so there are a lot of them. So that's how we've looked at the different product category breakdown. Now I'll be working you through the dashboard, highlighting the key metrics that I've just talked about, and then finally we can move on to the insight. Now, in terms of the dashboard, um, we'll start from the top, which is obviously this is a dashboard looking at the sales for the government goods incorporated. The first things first, what is our total sales? Total sales across the years 2014 to 2017, which was a little over $55 million. Then we have the total profit generated. Right now, it is in brackets, which represent a negative value, $89,483 in loss. Right. So, like I said earlier, we are bound to have like negative values for profits. That means if our cost of goods sold is higher than our sale amount, then um, it's going to be a negative value. And then the total quantity sold within those time period as well is almost 500,000 number of goods sold within that period. And so on a high level, um, this is showing that you know the, they are making sales in terms of dollar amount, but they are not making profit. Then we move on to the next section. We'll start from the left. The left side looking at the total transaction amount for all of the years from 2014 to 2017 was close to 10,000. Then the total discount applied for the goods sold is 2,494 for all the goods sold. And then we now look at the quantity sold by client type. We have the four client type, right? And we see they are closely, they are close in number in terms of the number of quantity of goods sold for each of the client type. Now we look at the top 10 states by sales. California definitely tops the chart, which has over $11 million in sale amount, which then we can now dive into what are the other states. We have the likes of New York, Texas, Florida, and so on. Looking at the products group sales, we have electronics, apparel, food and beverage, and home goods. Right now, home goods has the highest sale amount, that's over $40 million, and the least is the electronics, which is 13 million, over $30 million. You see, there isn't much difference. If it was 40 million versus maybe a 2 million, I would say, oh, that's a big shift in terms of, or a big difference in terms of the total sale amount. But right now, I would still say everything is still quite comparable. Then we also look at the month-on-month change in profit for each of the for each year. We look at what was the change in profit during the 2014. That was when we had the highest change in profit, positive profit value, and also it had the lowest change in profit, in change in profit value as well. Well, however, you kind of see the trend how the change in profits was shifting for each of the years. Then we move on to percentage contribution of uh, each product group to the profit. Right now, we see that the apparel contributes the most to the total profits, followed by the home goods, followed by home goods, followed by food and beverage, and then list is electronics. I mean, electronics also has the lowest sale. However, that is not a, I'll say it doesn't, the lowest sale doesn't equal to lowest contribution value to the profit, but however, something to just take note of. Now we look at the sale and profits by the each of the product group. Right now, we see each of the for each one we see the value of the sales highlighted in blue, and then profits for home goods, food and beverage, electronics, they are all in the negatives. Only apparel has a positive profit value. And then we also have the profit and sales in the product subgroup. Right now, accessories I believe has the highest in terms of the sale amount and all of that. So this is the dashboard. We have made this dashboard such that it's also interactive, so we can also slice and filter by some of the metrics set up here. So if I'm looking to see for only the central, or let me say the south region, right? The south region is going to give me the sales, the what is the total transactions, total discount is going to make everything filtered down to just for south. If we put that out, we do for west. We see what that value is. Then we can also, so if I'm looking to what for let's say the east and the west. Okay, I can only do one east, and then for 2017 and all of the shipping types, then we can start to see what the different metrics are telling us, and just kind of answer questions as we see based on the business need and so on and so forth. All right, so this here is the report. Here was where I was able to generate all the values that I have in the dashboard. First, these are the top metrics in terms of like total discount, sales, quantity, profit, and so on. And then there are different pivot tables for what it is. For example, we can see the top 10 states by sales. We can see here the month on month change in terms of the profits for each month for each of the years. And here we can see the quantity sold and sales for each client type. So that is where all is pulling for the data that we're pulling into the dashboard. This is the report tab is where we're pulling all of that from. Now finally, I will talk on the key insights and observations that I see. So first of all is that Government Goods Incorporated is running at a loss. This is shown through the total profits seen here, and so that for me is and in terms of the drivers, I would say that the business is not profitable across 3 out of 4 of its product groups. and that those are the home goods, food and beverage, electronics. Only the apparel is profitable, and we can see, we would also see through, let me come here, through the subgroups as well. The women, men, kids are the top three profitable subgroups. They are the top three profitable subgroups. So that ties into apparel being the most profitable. Uh, in terms of that, I would recommend looking the other into the other subgroups and understanding um, if there needs to be change in approach, especially in terms of looking at the discount applied for customers in those areas. If we are running at a loss, then in no time the business will run out, or will go bankrupt. The top 10 states by total sales have major cities. Is also something I have observed. California being a um, big state with a lot of major cities. The likes of New York, the likes of Texas, you have the likes of Dallas, Austin, Houston, North Carolina. These are all states which have major cities and have a big population. Therefore, would tend to drive more sales based on the number of people that live in those specific locations. So these are some of the key insights and observations that I've picked up while analyzing the sales for this store. Definitely my recommendation or next steps would be to do investigative analysis into the key loss drivers for the business. We already identified the three product groups. One will now have to dive deeper into seeing in terms of what is the discount applied, what is our cost of goods sold. There are specific regions which are not very profitable, or specific locations that are not very profitable compared to others for each of this product group, and maybe we need to consolidate and shut down some of those stores and ensure we are focusing on where we are seeing more profit or more value for money. So this is a walkthrough of the dashboard. I hope you have all the insights and able to better understand what is going on with this store. Please let me know if you have any questions. Reach out to me. Thank you very much. And this has also been a very enjoyable experience building this dashboard. So thank you.